Rule number 27. Many verbs compounded with ad, ante, con in inter, ob, post, prae, pro, sub, super, and sometimes circum and re take the dative case. The dative of compounds. Okay, let me start with a quick anecdote. A long time ago, when I was still in college, the professor with whom I was reading Virgil's Aeneid noticed that I had trouble with, this rule. So he took out a small piece of paper and quickly wrote down these prefixes: ad, ante, con, in, inter, ob, post, prae, pro, sub, super, and sometimes circum and re. He handed me the paper and told me to keep it with me at all times. So I put it in my wallet. A good classicist, of course, keeps grammatical crib sheets for easy access at all times. And I've kept it with me ever since. And it's become a part of me as I carry around these prefixes. In fact, they have a bit of a musical quality to them, like a poem with a fixed meter. Ad, ante, con, in, inter, ob, post, prae, pro, sub, super, and sometimes circum and re. At least it's a handy way to remember these prefixes. So what do? Well, when one of these prefixes is used and it changes the meaning of the verb significantly enough, then the object is put in the dative case rather than the accusative. It's technically an indirect object. So some examples. Legioni praesum, I am in charge of the legion. We know that sum means to be, or I am here, but when we prefix it with prae, the meaning changes significantly enough to be in charge to admit the dative case, hence legioni, the dative, rather than the accusative, legionem. Cicero says that a person's nature is superior to beasts. Natura hominis pecudibus antecedit. The verb antecedit means precedes or surpasses, but when we translate it more literally as take precedence over, we can see better why it takes the dative. One more. Numquam succumbet inimicis. Never will he surrender to his enemies. Inimicis is in the dative case. The adjective obvious and its related adverb obviam fall under this rule too. These are compounds of ob, towards or against, with via, way or path, as an adjective or a prepositional phrase, obviam, rendered as an adverb, obviam. Mihi obviam venisti, you came to meet me, where mihi is in the dative case because of obviam. Sallust describes some of his soldiers as obvii hostibus, when meeting enemies, with hostibus in the dative case. So I mentioned that the meaning of the verb has to change significantly enough from the original meaning to use this rule. So in our previous example, succumbo comes from kubo, which means to lie down. But when we prefix it with sub, the B changes to a C when it's followed by another C. The new word means to surrender or succumb, like when you lie under someone else, you've succumbed to them. But what about when the meaning of the word doesn't change enough? Here's an example. Convocat milites suos. He calls his soldiers together. The verb convocat still has the meaning of calling that exists from the root word vocat. The meaning of convocat isn't so different from vocat, and so we don't need the dative indirect object here. Now, this isn't a hard and fast rule, especially with some compounds of ad, ante, or ob, which have acquired a transitive meaning. So here's a list of common verbs that do have these prefixes that you can consider to be exceptions to rule number 27. Aggredior, to attack, adeo, to approach, convenio, to assemble, obeo, to go to meet, offendo, to hit, oppugno, to attack, praecedo, to precede, and subeo, to approach, among others, of course. I've been talking to you here about rule number 27. Many verbs compounded with ad, ante, con, in, inter, ob, post, prae, pro, sub, super, and sometimes circum and re take the dative case.